kind of average.
Thanks, Natasha. So, just to introduce myself, I'm Ricky. I'm a staff member at NUS. I work in the membership and governance team. So, as Hilary has quite rightly said, I support the returning officer who are external and ratified by conference in terms of delivering NUS elections. So, I'm just going to go through some information around kind of the more procedural and the process side of things. So you've heard a little bit about the roles, and as I've said in the chat, we're going to do breakout rooms, so you'll have plenty of time to speak to the people on the kind of panel today in your rooms. To be able to stand, you need to be for election, you either need to be a sabbatical officer or a student at an NUS affiliated union. As we've discussed for Liberation Committee, there are certain, we've got different caucuses, so you would need to define into the caucus. And the deadline is, I would always say, make sure you submit well in advance of the deadline and don't leave it to the last 5 minutes, just so that you've got everything, it's in and it's safe, and then you don't have to worry about it. Again, I'll put my team's contact details and we're here to support you all along the way. If you've got any questions, you can get in touch with us. So, as some people quite rightly mentioned in the chat, you need some students to confirm your nomination. Now, I fully understand all the concerns around COVID and the lack of ability to be able to network. I have a meeting with the returning officer this week. So currently it stands at 3 nominations, and one of those can come from your own students' union. I'm going to be speaking to the returning officer about how we can the possibility of reducing those because of COVID as an exception for this year. So I will be updating the website, and I will make sure before I send this email out, I will get a clear decision on that. And like I said, I'm putting forward all the concerns people have raised about the challenges of being able to network. The optional information that we'll ask you that we would encourage you to submit is a head and shoulders photograph, if you're comfortable to do that, a 100-word candidate statement, and if you've got any social media accounts, then we can put those on the website as well, and it's just a great way for you to be able to engage with the candidates, with the electorate about kind of the reasons why you're standing and why they should vote for you. So that's a little bit around that. I'll put the link there, so it's nus.org.uk/stand. I'll pop it in the chat as well, but all the details are on there and all the deadlines. I wanted to go over a little bit around election rules and just about some guiding principles that we really would like all candidates to adhere to as we go through the election process. So our core principles in our elections are around electing people in a free and fair manner. And we work on the basis that the elections are the mechanism for our members to be able to choose their representatives. And wherever possible, the electorate should always decide or be the decision makers. And also on this, the final point is we're not here to give everyone an equal chance, just a fair one. So if you do have any access needs, anything that we can do to support or you need assistance with, please don't hesitate to get in touch with myself. I'll put my details on because the returning officer is very flexible if you need us to kind of help you along the way with the nomination process and those sorts of things. So please do that. If I just move on to kind of some of the core rules for you. So again, we'll go over this again, more details once we have a candidate briefing, but just kind of the core rules are here. So treating each other with respect. I've got public there, but obviously the likelihood of it is we're not in a physical space. Should not undertake campaigns activity which others can also reasonable. So that's around fair access. So if you were best friends with a celebrity, I'm not going to name a celebrity because I'm too old, and you got them to do a video for you, that would be an unfair advantage. So these are the things that you just need to make sure that everyone has access to things that you do. Campaigns should be fully transparent and accountable to NUS. Don't do anything to gain an unfair advantage. Don't undermine the fair and democratic running of elections, i.e. don't be undemocratic when you're running. And this one again is slightly separate because we're online, is that allow when we're in a physical space, not crowd around people and just allow them to vote. Obviously people will be voting at home, so that won't be an issue this year. Other ones, don't break the law in our code of conduct. A clear commitment to anti-racism, including tackling Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, is really important. So please make sure we've got some links on that to help support you can understand what those commitments are. And candidates can, again, that doesn't apply because we're not at a national conference. And then the other one is around, you know, mailing lists. And it's just around, I suppose, courtesy and consent. So if you're sending a message to a WhatsApp group, make sure people, you know, you ask permission of the owner of the WhatsApp group. And again, if you're campaigning someone and they say they don't want to be contacted by you, then please, you know, don't contact them, and therefore, you know, you're respecting their decisions. So I think it really is around just making sure that you kind of listening to the electorate and hearing what they've got to say if they have got feedback for you. That's just some of the things about core election rules. Don't get too worried about them. We'll be doing a candidate briefing if you decide to put yourself forward, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavour of what the elections are. There are some questions that I said I would cover, so I'm going to do those now. So I've covered a little bit about the number of nominations, and like I said, by the end of this week I will have a decision and I will update you all via email. So the next one was, can we apply for more than one position? So what we've talked about here is there are essentially three strands to our volunteering. We've got the democratic side, which Eve talked about. We've got the scrutiny side, which Steph talked about, and we've got the campaigning side, which Natasha talks about. So you can only, if you wanted to run for multiple positions, they would have to be in the same strand. So you could, for example, run for Democratic Procedures Committee and Scotland Steering Committee. However, you couldn't run for Democratic Procedures Committee and then run for Liberation Campaigns Committee. So it's about making sure you are within each of those three strands. If you're not sure, again, I'm going to put my contact details up and you can do that. Can we apply for more than one? So I've covered that. For the social media, can we use any officer platforms or would we need to use our personal? That would be down to yourself and kind of any guidance that you've got internally, your own union around using your officer platforms, because that would be kind of a decision around kind of your guidance on what you've agreed to around the use of that social media. I would always veer on personal if you're not sure, but that one you would need to refer back to your students' union. Do Liberation candidates still need to run campaigns? We will be asking people to submit a video if they were comfortable, but for the Liberation campaigns, you will have the ability to speak to the caucus members and give a speech at caucuses. So when we see campaign, it's still quite low key. Like you don't have to do. It's not like you're running for a sabbatical position. It is just around making sure you're aware of, you promote yourself so people know who you are and what you stand for, like I said. And how do we reach or communicate with our respective caucuses? NUS won't provide you with details of election people who are coming to conference due to data protection, so that it'll be down to you to reach them. But like I said, you will have an opportunity via a video and your statement on the website, and all that information will be able to viewable by people when they go to vote, and we will encourage them to look at the election hub if they are a delegate to any of the conferences. The next one would be, how will voting be done by students or by delegates? So voting will be done by delegates and delegates only. So they will need to be a delegate at the respective conference for the position you're standing for. That's it.